Now we move on to the fourth aspect of our session, which is to take a look at a few cool features that will help you automate a lot of your things. So let me show you a few of them right over here. I think the easiest way, easiest and the one of the initial things that I'd like to show you is the meetings option over here in sales. So what I would do is let me just access meeting link over here. You can create multiple such meeting links, by the way, or you can even edit one of your existing meeting links. What a meeting link essentially refers to is that I would share this meeting link with one of my contacts, and I would ask the contact that, hey, I want to schedule a meeting with you because I want to understand so and so problem statements from you, and this is my calendar. So whatever time slots works best for you, you can choose that time slot, and you can also see if I'm available in that time slot or not, and just go and book a meeting, and then that meeting would reflect in my calendar. So that's the objective. That's what we're trying to achieve. Now, in order to do that, you'll have to first set up your meeting link. So you give a name of your meeting link. You mention here that what would be your meeting availability. So from what hour to what hour can you be blocked by your contact, and multiple such other options are there. This helps you in setting up your meeting link. Once you have set up this particular meeting link, you would basically copy your meeting link, and to whichever contact you want to share this meeting link with, you would just pass it on to that contact. Could be via SMS, via WhatsApp, via LinkedIn, could be via anything really. And what the contact would do is, once the contact has received the meeting link, he would essentially enter the meeting link over here. Right, so now I'm enacting the role of a contact that is trying to book a meeting. So this is how it would look like. Now say that I see that the person who I want to talk to has these slots as available slots, and I would then check my calendar as well. And what would happen is, let's say I figure out that 2 p.m. is a good time for me to talk. So I would provide my name. So let's say contact, or let me actually go for the real names. Let me add Jeevak, let me add Ghosh over here, and I'll just copy Jeevak's email ID. See, this is how Jeevak would basically get a meeting booked with me. He clicks on confirm over here, right? And to me, I would get this meeting in my email. So let me just refresh my email. So in my email, I've got a notification which says that I have been booked by Jeevak Ghosh, and this is something that is automatically added to my calendar as well, right? So let me access my Google Calendar. Right, so you can see here that this is the meeting that Jeevak Ghosh has booked on my calendar, and I can straight away talk to him at 2 p.m. So the way this helps is that in the absence of having a meeting link, typically you would have a lot of back and forth conversation wherein you suggest some time, Jeevak says he's not free at that time, then he suggests some other time, you figure out you're not free at that time. So there is at least a back and forth of say 2 or 3 emails or calls here and there to figure out a common time that works for the both of you. An easier way to really go after that is that you provide your meeting link. Essentially, you're sharing your calendar. You're letting him know that on which slots are you available to talk. Jeevak anyway has access to his calendar, so he knows on what slots he's free as well. And in one shot, you're done. You're able to get a meeting with your contact. That's the first cool thing that I wanted to show. A few of the cool things that I want to show is something called as lists. So lists is a very powerful feature that HubSpot offers, and there are two kinds of lists in HubSpot. One of them is called as a static list, and the second is what we call as an active list. Static list is the basic form of a list wherein essentially you're grouping a bunch of your contacts to a list. So let's say that I would group all my edtech company contacts into one list. I would group all my health tech company contacts in another list. And typically, the reason why I would want to group these different contacts into lists is so that I can send them targeted content. So if the product team in my organization has put in a feature that makes more sense for all edtech companies, then to stay in touch with all of my edtech contacts and to stay in touch with all of those contacts in one go, what I would do is I would send out a mass email, though it's personalized for each person, and I would talk about this feature that is included in my product newly, and I would try to show them that how this feature can add a lot more value to the value that already my product is giving to them, and how can they inquire more about this feature to me, and further I can take the conversation from there onwards. This again one of those aspects of deepening my relationships where I'm constantly keeping in touch with them, trying to increase my top of the mind recall value in their minds, so on and so forth. So to create a static list, what I'll do is I'll just give a name. So let me just call it as a test static list, for instance. I'll click on next, and that's it. I have already created the list over here. Now what I'll do is I'll have to add a contact to this list, and the way I can do that is I go to contacts, I select the contact who I want to add to a static list. So let's say I select Jiva Ghosh over here. I go to more, I then add to a static list, and here I select the name of the list, right? So, okay, let me just see why the list is not appearing. So I go back here, I create a static list. I click on next, and oh, I have to save list here. I think I missed this the last time. Right, so now let me go back to contacts. Let me select Jivak. Let me go to more here, add to static list, and here is where I choose that list and I click on add. So now Jivak is added to this particular static list for me, and the way I can verify this is by going back to the static list. So I can see that static list is created here. Size basically refers to the number of contacts that are added to this list. So I've accessed my static list over here. I can see Jivak as a contact that is added to this static list. Now let me show you the other list as well, which is the active list. So I'll create one more list, and I'll create an active list. So let me call it as test active list. The difference between a static list and an active list is that a static list is literally a grouping of a few of your contacts. An active list is also a grouping of your contacts, but then the number of contacts who enter into that group or that list or who exit that list, it is contingent on a given condition. And what that condition is something that I can define. So let's say that I want to have an active list wherein I want to know all those contacts who I haven't spoken to for more than 2 weeks now. Then what I will do is I will set up an active list where I set a condition that you add a contact to this list only if I have not spoken or if I have not done any form of activity with that contact for the last 2 weeks. And how this is going to help me? This is going to help me in the way that I just look at the active list, I see what the number of contacts in that list is, and I know that these are the list of 10 or 20 or 30 people who have not spoken to in the last 2 weeks. So let's just see how we can do that. So I choose active list over here. I provide the list name as test active list. I click on next. All right, so here you can see that unless I provide those conditions or unless I provide those filters, I can't even save this list or I can't basically create this list successfully. So what I'll do is I'll go to contact properties and I'll just search for last activity date, right? And what I'll mention is last activity date is more than say 7 days, right? So this means that for the last 7 days I have not spoken to this contact, and I apply this filter. Now this is my condition, and now I'm going to save this list, right? What you should also observe is that when I come back to my contact list, okay, and when I select a particular contact, it only tells me that I can add to a static list, and that's pretty evident now That's because for a contact to make it into an active list, it has to meet a certain criteria. You can't really override and add a contact to a particular active list. You can only do that for a particular static list. So that's something on lists, and depending upon the different kinds of filters you add for a given active list, you can really use these lists in a variety of ways that will make you much more efficient. Now, in the absence of active lists, if I were to keep a track of who I have spoken to when, the only way for me to do that would be either to access each of these contacts in the contacts page and then see what the last activity date was, or I'll have to go to my Gmail or Microsoft Outlook or whatever your email client is, and then I'll have to search for each contact and then see when was the last email that I had sent, which is a very cumbersome process, and that's where active lists that function on a set criteria, they really come in handy. Now, I'll just expose you to a few more cool things as well, and there's something that you can try out on your own. These are pretty self-explanatory. So you click on the settings icon over here, and then you click on the general option on the left hand side, and over here you can come to email. All right, so you access email here under the general settings, and then to connect your email with your HubSpot, you click on this connect personal email. Further, you can enable this button if it is not enabled already, and then you could also actually go for this install add-in, in which case you'll be required to install HubSpot's Chrome extension to your browser. And once you have done all of these things, then what really happens is that when you come back to your Gmail and when you now send an email, just check out this difference. So typically when you send an email from your Gmail, the send button is in blue color. That's when HubSpot is not already linked with your Gmail. But the moment HubSpot is linked with your Gmail, this changes to orange color, essentially the same color as that's there on HubSpot's logo. Now you also have to notice a few other differences, that as I am sending this email to any contact, so I'm just going to access a different contact over here. Let's say that I am sending this to this client of mine. Now you observe here that when I remove this contact, you can see here that log shows no record, and there's something called as track over here, and I'll explain to you what that is. Now the moment I enter somebody's name who I've already added to HubSpot, it says log is logged into 3 records and the track is still kept on. What this really means is, track means that as long as I have checked the track box, that's when the email that I send from here is going to appear in my contact card on my HubSpot account. And as I enter this contact name, if this contact is linked with any company or any deal, then all of those will start appearing over here. It's something that we saw when we created a task. We saw something called as associations at the bottom. It's very similar to that. So this is the benefit of linking your HubSpot account with your Gmail account, so that as you keep doing an activity from your Gmail, you need not separately log those emails or log those meetings onto HubSpot. Rather, all of that is automatically taken care of for you. Further, if you send a particular kind of an email repeatedly, so let's say that as you reach out to your lead, or once your lead inquires more about your product, you might have a standard email template that you use to send as a reply to your lead. So in such scenarios, it makes sense that you save these templates as templates in HubSpot and you access them on a need basis. So here is where I would basically click on templates, and then I would insert a template email that I might have saved on HubSpot, and that is something that we can check over. Here. So these options, which say as documents, and here there is something called as templates, there's something called as chat flows. So these are the options in HubSpot. When populated in the right way, you can leverage them here right within your Gmail, right? So this is the power of connecting HubSpot with your Gmail when you're sending a one-to-one email. Further, you can also configure sequences, and what a sequence really means is this is where you can access a sequence, and a sequence essentially means that you pre-configure or you preset a set of 5 or 6 emails that you want to send in a preset schedule again. So let's say the first email goes today, second email goes 2 days from now, third email goes 5 days from now, the subsequent email goes 7 days from now, so on and so forth. Also, you can have multiple configurations as part of sending these sequence emails, wherein say that my sequence email is originally a sequence of 5 emails, but then the moment my contact or my lead responds to the third email, he will no longer receive the fourth and fifth email, because now he has initiated a conversation, therefore he'll be automatically kind of unsubscribed from the sequence email, and I can have now more one-to-one conversations with that particular person. So in this way, different features of HubSpot should be leveraged once they are connected with your Gmail account. So this is how you automate or you link your HubSpot account with your email. Similarly, you can also link your HubSpot account with your Google Calendar. So over here, I have connected my Google Calendar account with HubSpot, so that when any meeting gets booked, which is what I showed you when I accessed a meeting link from here under the sales head. So you saw that on my Google Calendar over here, Jiva Ghosh meeting is appearing on my calendar. So that's the other thing. And we can also add tasks that we create to my calendar, and this is also something that is pretty helpful, because as you see these tasks set for a particular time in your calendar, you don't tend to miss out on them. The way you can create tasks is by accessing anything, either contacts or companies or sales, and go to that particular contact card or to that company card or to that deal card, and then you add task over there. There's something that we saw earlier, so let me quickly show you that. So to create a task, I have gone to Jiva Ghosh as a contact card, I've accessed that. I click on tasks, I click on create task over here, and I enter the task name. So say call Jivak, right? And my notes, I say that need to inform Jivak about the contract formalities, right? And then I can add when do I want to do this task. So let's say I want to do it in 2 business days. I can set the time as 11:45 a.m. and I can assign the task to somebody else as well, or I can have this against my name. So default would be my name, because I'm associated or I'm logged in with HubSpot account, and I can create associations over here. So by default, whatever associations have already been done in HubSpot, those will start appearing over here. So Jiva Ghosh is linked with Career Labs, and Jiva Ghosh is linked with this deal as well, and therefore you see all of that. Now all of this, once they are in place, you can click on create. So the task appears over here in the task tab. Obviously it will appear under the activity tab as well, because that's a consolidated view of all the other kinds. And to take a look at all my tasks, I'll access task here under the sales tab. And here is where I can take a look at all my tasks. So this is the task that I see over here. If I have to see all my tasks that's due for today, I click on this. If I have to see the tasks that I've missed out on, then I go to overdue task. If I want to take a look at what are the tasks that I'm looking at for the next 2 or 3 days, then I would go to the upcoming tasks. Jiva could come in upcoming task, because this is to be done on September 13th. And then if I have to logically group these tasks in various other queues, then I can create a queue over here. So I can create a queue, say all EdTech tasks. I can create a queue of this kind, and then I can assign a task to that particular queue. Sure, yeah. Okay. So I can create a, so as you can see here, we have created a task that is specific for all tasks that are that pertain with the EdTech business of mine. Now to move Jivak's task to EdTech task, what I would do is I would select this particular contact, I would change the queue, I would mark the queue as the EdTech task, and I would click on save. And I see Jivak's task over here under the EdTech task. So in this way, you can use some of these features to become really efficient at what you're doing. So just to recap this section quickly, we took a look at the meeting link section over here, right under the sales menu. You would use meeting links to share your calendar with your prospect or with your lead, and your lead can then effectively book a slot on your calendar without having to do multiple back and forths with you. Next, we took a look at the concept of lists, And there are two types of lists. There's something called as a static list and there's something called as an active list. Static list is nothing but a bunch of contacts that are logically grouped into a given list. And active list is again a list, but the difference here is that a contact can either make it into the list or the contact will be removed from the list depending upon what condition or what criteria you have set and whether or not the contact meets that criteria. We then went to the settings menu over here, and here under the general settings, we took a look at how do you link your Gmail account with your HubSpot. And you would do that so that whatever emails you send from your Gmail or from your Microsoft Outlook, all of those emails will automatically start appearing under the right contact cards, under the right company cards, and under the right deal cards, right? And it is very important that the activities of your contacts or your companies or your deals are all tracked in the right way and you don't miss out on them, because all of the other things that you're doing, be it this concept of list or be it the concept of drawing out reports and dashboards, which you will see next, all of that hinges on this fundamental assumption that all the activities that you're having or all the interactions that you're having with your lead or your deal, it's all there on HubSpot. So that's why you would like to link your email with HubSpot. You would like to link your calendar and your tasks with your Google Calendar, and you would also want to link your phone number with HubSpot, so that as you take calls via HubSpot, you actually record those calls, and these calls are pretty handy to listen to at a later point in time and understand where things went well for you, and what are the few areas where you can look forward to improvise on as you take more calls in the coming days. So to come back to our deck, these were some of the cool features that you can leverage on to be really efficient at what you do. And that brings us to the final topic that we want to cover, which is reports and dashboards.